Hello, ladies and gentlemen! The Mighty Mouse Plays, back at it again with the last Arc 3.0 subclass review. Now, personally, I think Arc 3.0 was the least exciting for hunters, but it did combine some of the best aspects of all the previous Arc Hunter classes, while also adding some new options. This class is heavily tied to your melee ability, giving you a ton of different options to utilize this to get the upper hand on your opponents. So I'd like to give you my recommendations on the best loadout for utilizing this, while talking quickly about some of the strengths and the perks this has to offer. Starting with the aspects, I think that PvP's choice is a little bit straightforward. The Tempest Strike is a must run for hunters, and it will increase the base cooldown for your melee, but this is well worth the trade-off. It's a nice tool that you can send out to get a clean chunk of damage that will also jolt targets that you hit. This ability has been improved over the base version in the old Arc subclasses, now traveling further while also having the ability to drop to the ground if activated, even off of a high ledge. I pair this with the Lethal Current aspect, where after dodging, your melee gets an improved range, will jolt targets, and will also deal extra damage. It's nice having an improved melee after dodging, but the real utility this provides is just giving you another option outside of your Tempest Strike to clean up melee opponents. This is also going to pair very nicely with the Dragon Shadow exotic, as now your dodging will also reload weapons, buff weapon handling, your mobility, as well as giving you an improved base melee. I'll also run the Gambler's Dodge, so this will refresh my melee ability too if I'm near an opponent. Having high mobility will let you spam your dodge, which gives you a plethora of buffs. The strength in this class is that you will have so many different ways to utilize your buffs to your advantage that you can use them to fit any scenario you may find yourself in. And lastly, I don't recommend the flow aspect state, which is going to make you amplified after killing a jolted target. The reason being is that amplified is a fun buff, but I don't find a ton of value in being amplified more frequently. You can already become amplified if you get a fast double kill with an arc weapon, so I don't find much more value in being amplified more often. Next, let's take a look at the fragments I run. I choose the Spark of Feedback, which can allow your melee to nearly one-shot after taking melee damage, the Spark of Recharge, because it'll allow you to have high uptime on your abilities, the Spark of Shock, allowing your grenades to jolt opponents, hopefully netting you some multi-kills, and the Spark of Brilliance, which is going to help improve my intellect. I would also recommend the Spark of Focus, which can help boost your class ability regeneration. I didn't run it with this build as it does cost 10 mobility, but it is another strong option that you should consider. Next, let's look at the abilities. I think Gambler's Dodge is a no-brainer. With how many options your melee provides between the base melee and the Tempest Strike, you want to keep your melee up as often as possible. The jump becomes a little bit of a tricky choice and is now more of a preference thing. The control jump is a great base jump that most hunters know and love. It's a great tool, but now there's Blink in town for hunters, which is going to give you a tough choice. Blink can improve your ability to close the gaps on your Arc Strider and gives you strong defensive utility, but you can also leave yourself hanging sometimes, and if you get caught in a bad location or miss your Blink jump, you're a little SOL. For your melee ability, Combination Blow is my preference, as it has a much shorter cooldown than the Disorienting Blow. It also will restore your class ability on a kill, which can pair very nicely with the Lethal Blow, which can let you chain strong ability melee kills. Disorienting Blow is honestly a stronger melee option, blinding your opponent and amplifying you. But you also have a super long base cooldown, which means you less frequently have the choice between using your Disorienting Blow and your Tempest Strike. Looking at grenades, I think either the Arc Bolt or the Pulse Grenade are your strongest options. Both of these are able to lead with multi-kills as they will jolt your targets after hitting them with the Shock of Spark Fragment. For your super, Arc Staff is a great super, giving you a roaming super that can easily shut down other supers because you can reflect supers back, or you can kill them outright with the light-heavy combination, force palming the other super. The new Gathering Storm super is a good area of denial super you can use to shut down choke points, as well as net a single kill upon cast if you hit your opponent directly. But it was a little tricky for me hitting my opponents dead on in my own experience, which led to a few wasted supers which just felt bad. It is, however, a faster cooldown, which can be very useful in trials if you need to make sure you have your super during the match, as well as Arc Staff is tied for the longest cooldown of all supers. So, in terms of exotics that pair well with the Arc Strider, I already mentioned the Dragon Shadow, which gives you that plethora of abilities and options while coming out of a dodge. The Liar's Handshake will also pair nicely, as you can more easily secure multi-kills with a one-shot melee after being meleeed or landing an initial melee. The Stompies are nice too, because it will speed up your movement with your Arc Staff, letting you more easily catch up to opponents if they try and run away, as well as having the general improved sprint speed and slide is always welcome. Lastly, Assassin's Cowl is my last recommendation, as landing a powered melee makes you invisible and heals you, which chains really nicely with your Combination Blow, as you can more easily close the gap to melee distance with your invisibility. All in all, it's a pretty straightforward subclass that improved on previous Arc subclasses, but it's certainly tied strongly to your melee abilities and finding multiple ways to use them. I don't think this class is very flashy, but I think it's very strong across all levels of PvP, honestly. I hope that you're able to learn more about how the subclass works and use these recommendations to improve what you may already be running currently. If you did like what you saw, please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe for more. As always, thank you for tuning in, and stay smooth, Guardians.
Place. You call that a win? I call it a massacre. You've shown your might, Guardian. Well fought.